Denmark's Prime Minister says she is working with NATO to improve security for critical infrastructure in the wake of drone activity that has forced the country to close its airports this week. Denmark's defence minister said he suspected a, quote, professional behind what he called a coordinated hybrid attack. Russia has denied involvement, but the incidents come after a series of Russian incursions into European airspace this month.
Look closely, and you might see it. A suspected drone caught flitting and floating about as though playing with authorities. Lights turning on and off, a witness said, above the Aalborg airport, which also serves as a military airport. Another in a series of serious security-breaching incidents in Europe.
This certainly doesn't seem like a coincidence. On the contrary, it looks systematic.
Once again, the top suspect in the aerial incursion is Russia, which denies involvement. Drone and cyber incidents, especially affecting airports and widely believed to be Russian in origin, date back to 2017. The most recent, the September 10th incursion of drones into Poland that forced several airports to close. On the 20th, a cyber attack at airports in Berlin, London, and Brussels. 2 days later, drones flew over Copenhagen, prompting airport shutdowns. Oslo's airport also shut after a drone was seen there. And last evening, the drones seen near Denmark's Aalborg airport reportedly followed a similar pattern to those over Copenhagen 2 nights before, although investigators have yet to find evidence that they're connected.
We are not at a point where we are certain who is behind it. But everything indicates that it is a professional actor when it comes to such a systematic operation in so many locations almost simultaneously. This is what I would define as a hybrid attack with different types of drones.
Germany's defense minister says the incursions fit a pattern, and he's pointing the finger at Moscow.
There's a clear suspicion that it's Vladimir Putin's strategy, without knowing it exactly. It's everyday business already for us. We're not at war, but we're also not in complete peace anymore.
Wir sind nicht im Krieg, aber wir sind auch nicht mehr im kompletten Frieden.
Beyond the Danish authorities, there is growing concern among Danish air passengers.
I think it's disturbing. I don't really know what to think. Apparently this is what we have to get used to.
4 Danish airports affected in recent days, and authorities predict more incursions and disturbances ahead.
We're joined now by Artis Pabriks. He's the former Latvian Defence Minister, Foreign Minister and Deputy Prime Minister. He currently leads the Northern Europe Policy Centre, which is a think tank focusing on security and defence policy. A very warm welcome to DW. Thank you for taking the time. Can I start by asking you, what is your take? Is Russia behind what the Danish government is calling hybrid attacks?
I would say that 99.9% this is a Russian attack. Of course, it's sometimes difficult to prove, but it doesn't change the necessity to change our attitude towards such incursions. And obviously, they are testing resilience and they are testing also our capabilities. And what they do see, it doesn't look very good on our side.
As you say, they're testing resilience. Do you think it's trying to provoke, and of course we don't know whether it is Russia that has done this, however, given what we've seen in the last few weeks, do you think there's an attempt to provoke an escalation here?
Well, you see, in this case, I don't think that Russians could provoke a real escalation if Danes or any other country would shoot down those drones. So they simply see that our capabilities are not in place, and it's very difficult to put them in place, because basically what we need at this moment, because we are living in a situation between the war and peace. There is no any more peace or war as we understood before. So that means we need anti-drone installations and capabilities over our critical infrastructure, over our airports and many, many other places. And we need also legislation in place. And with such attempts, Russians simply disturb our daily lives. They see that we are not prepared for this and simply do some small nasty things. And by simply shooting down drones, it's not a shooting down MiG-31. So there cannot be any kind of escalation from Russian side because, first of all, they deny this. So if they deny this, then we should not worry about escalation with Russia.
Let's talk a little more about how well NATO and European countries can defend themselves against non-traditional threats like coordinated drone operations. Is Europe doing enough, fast enough, to get better at defending itself?
Look, basically, we needed such type of anti-drone systems already yesterday because we see how drone war develops in Ukraine for last 3 years. And that obviously shows that we are behind. And it's not just about NATO, because you cannot call always to Brussels and ask to take drones out over, let's say, some city in Germany. So that means that the local authorities and defense forces must have the right legislation. And for instance, if there is any airport, civilian airport, which might observe some strange drones flying, we must have those capabilities in place. And I understand it's very strange to think and talk about this when you are not in an open war with open enemy, but this is current circumstances. So we are not ready.
So what would you say are the most urgent next steps that Europe has to take to boost its defences?
Well, first of all, every nation state, every country must check, do they have a legislation which allows in the first minutes and seconds to take such drones out? And secondly, we must know and inspect all the possible places where such attacks might happen, that we have the right equipment, sir. And thirdly, for instance, if we have a suspicion that, for instance, such drones were operated from some ships, either Russian ships or technically under the flag of some other country, then we must be capable to take those ships over, search them, arrest if necessary, and prosecute as soon as possible.
What about NATO? I mean, the alliance says it will defend every inch of its territory. It's warned that it will use all necessary military and non-military tools at its disposal. How reassuring do you find that commitment for Latvia?
Well, obviously, Putin doesn't see this as a very reassuring thing. Otherwise, he would not challenge our airspace or borders. So that means that obviously the Russian side and Putin thinks that he still can afford the escalation. Because no matter what, Russians should not be considered to be stupid. So they see and they check our reactions. And that also means that there must be a political will, and there must be a political will also on European nations' side, because at this moment the command structure obviously is considering what to do if such violations like in Estonia with 3 MiG-31s happened. We don't know were, for instance, missiles locked on the Russian planes entering their space. We don't know, are they ready to shoot warning shots? It's not just about downing planes which are coming in, but what are the procedures, who take decisions, and in what speedy time it is done?
In your view, where should the red lines be drawn?
Well, obviously, the red lines should be drawn in a way, including strategic communication, also in our language, also in consultations, that we give a very straight signal to the Russian side that they cannot do this. So they must stop this, and we can stop them only with very clear words and very clear actions, because we cannot stop drones and planes flying in our airspace by diplomatic notes. Obviously, Kremlin doesn't understand that.
Artis Pabriks from the Northern Europe Policy Centre think tank. Thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam.